Welcome to More Than a Few Words, a marketing conversation. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And today we're going to get a little bit meta as we talk about podcasting mistakes on a podcast. And to help me do that, I have invited Nathalie Dorémieux, and she helps podcasters turn engaged listeners into real business without more content, ads, or burnout. So I got to tell you, I'm intrigued. Nathalie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. You know, as we were talking about this, you confessed that maybe your first podcast experience was not a raving success. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, my first podcast kind of happened by accident on a dare. So the idea was that I had this coach at the time, and she told me, I dare you to go live every single day for 100 days on Facebook and just talk about your expertise because I know you can. So I did that. And when I did that, I was like, well, I should repurpose this. Why don't I make a podcast out of it? You know, that will be 100 episodes right there. And so that's what I did. And that was not my smartest idea.
Okay, well, number one, that sounds exhausting. As a podcaster myself, I did do an experiment with, I want to say it was Amazon. They had this daily dose of information that you could broadcast 1-minute things to Alexa. And I did that for about 30 days. I called it Just a Few Words. And I was exhausted just trying to keep up with that schedule. So kudos to you for doing it for as long as you did.
Yeah. And I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was not as hard, and it really proved me that I have enough, content to talk about. So that was kind of like the proof that I was looking for. And in that sense, I got what I was looking for.
Okay, but now you switched over and you made it a podcast. And so what went wrong? You had good content. It couldn't have been very long because you were doing it every single day. So it was really nice bite-sized information.
Yeah. So what was wrong was that there was no strategy. A podcast is a tool, not a strategy. So basically, I had good content. I had no call to actions. I had 100 episodes that I basically published one after the other, again, without any specific strategy, any specific goal for listeners, just putting things out there.
And that I think is a trap that a lot of us fall into as podcasters, but even just in general as marketers and marketing our business. We write blog posts and we demonstrate our expertise on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we just assume people will get it and go, oh, she's brilliant, I should work with her.
Yeah. And I think it's really not about the content anymore, honestly, because content has become a commodity. What it is about is connection. They are not like we are trying to get all our expertise out, like this is what I know, this is what I do. But the reality, what our content needs to do is to have people raise their hand, stop the scroll, connect, be curious. That's where the value is of the content, not the actual expertise, because again, everything has been written, has been done before, right? So it's a people to people connection that we need to do. And the content is the media that we're using for that, right? But it's really not about the actual content. It's more the message, right?
I really want to put that on a bumper sticker. It's not about the content. It's about the connection. Because for someone like me, I am a longtime content girl. That's how I built my marketing agency. That's how I built my reputation. And underlying in that was always the connection. But in the early days, I didn't think about that connection. So going back to, your first podcast and it didn't work, and I'm kind of getting a sense of where you would go differently. But how would you structure it now if you had all this content? How would you structure it differently to make it more productive?
So actually, it's quite simple. And actually, I am in the process of doing that. I would come up with a strategy before I even start recording. So I would look at what is the end in mind. Why do I want a podcast? I want a podcast because I want to grow my list. I want to get leads from my services. Okay. Therefore, what do people need to hear from me in order to connect with me? That's all.
So number one, we start with the strategy. Is there a way? Because I know that there are a lot of podcasters in my audience, there are a lot of marketers who are looking at this content that they've created. Is there a way to modify or adjust existing content so that it now fits your strategy so you don't have to completely reinvent the wheel?
Absolutely. I think that especially if you've done lots of episodes, we usually have different kinds of episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We might have inspirational episodes. Maybe we tell a story or we interview a client or we go deep into expertise. This is my framework. This is my thinking. This is how I help people, right? So you could go back and look at your past episodes and see if there is one that really sticks out as what I call an asset episode. An asset episode is an episode where you really showcase your expertise. This is for the person that is ready potentially to work with you, that has the problem that you're solving, with your solution. And by listening to that episode, they're going to say, I want to find out more. No, I want to buy that stuff, right? We are not selling with podcasts. We are connecting. So if you have this episode, then this is a good episode to either use if the call to action is good or re-record in a way that has a call to action that actually gets people to connect. Because if you're telling them, leave me a review, subscribe, you are just feeding Apple and Spotify, which want to grow their own audience and want to keep the listener there. Okay? So if you have that, you can repurpose that episode, put it on your website, put it on a page where you have control over the next step and start the conversation there.
That is such an important point that you make that I really want to reinforce. That is, it's great to distribute your content on Spotify and Apple and all of those places, but that you've got to have a home base that you own where you're creating that authority and really encouraging people to connect with you there.
I mean, these asset episodes, you can see them as lead magnets. They are true lead magnets because imagine, unlike a blog post, here they can hear your voice. They can feel the emotion. They can feel the excitement, the passion. They can feel the conviction, how you believe in what you're saying. So all of this, that's what it accelerates the connection and the trust.
I have loved podcasting and I've done it for a very long time. And you really hit the nail on the head in terms of why I love it so much, is because I get to just be me. And it's okay if you don't like my slightly nasal New York accent. If you don't connect with my message, it's okay. But for the people that do, it's very authentic, and it's like they feel like, oh, I know you. Exactly. In a way they don't from your writing.
Exactly. If you can go past that past the I need to be perfect, then podcasting is a great way to be yourself, right? I mean, when I did these 100 episodes, they were unedited. Mm-hmm. Unedited, no notes, just a couple of bullet points on a post-it. Okay? Mm-hmm. So they were my thinking at the moment on a topic. And yes, maybe some people are going to feel it's not professional enough. Some people are going to laugh about my accent on certain ways I say words because I'm French. It doesn't matter to me. Especially, I don't know, but like at my age, I'm starting to really not care about what people think. Okay? So it's really about being more authentic, and that's where you're going to attract the people that you're meant to work with.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I could chat for ever so much longer, but we're going to put a pin in it here. I want to encourage people to look for you to find more information. Where should they go?
So they can go to themembershiplab.com, and they can also go on LinkedIn. I think we'll have a link below if we can. But themembershiplab.com is where they can connect with me easily.
Well, we will have links both to your website and to your LinkedIn profile so people can find you and connect. And I want to say merci beaucoup for being a part of my show today.
Avec plaisir, c'était un grand plaisir.
Thank you so much. And I want to encourage anybody, if you have enjoyed this conversation, if it's inspired you, created questions or other ideas in your head, hop over to morethanafewwords.com/contact. Leave me a note, drop me a voicemail, and tell me what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.